Is it time to stop investing in comics off of Whatnot? Stay tuned as I go through some recent pickups and we discuss the matter. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we're going to go through some comics that I've been picking up from Whatnot recently and talk about whether I think it's time to stop buying comics that I intend to invest in off of Whatnot. We'll go through some of the recent pickups that I've been getting and talk about whether or not I think it's even worth buying books on there and talk about some of the dangers I think that I'm seeing at this point. But before we begin, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. All right, guys, let's just get right into this. And I've got a short stack of comics here that I've picked up off of Whatnot, minus the first two. We'll go through those real quick too. But my topic today is talking about investing in comics and whether or not I think it's a good idea to continue buying off of Whatnot or to just get off of Whatnot completely. And this topic is not new. I've heard the same complaint from a lot of different sellers, is that they don't get the books in the condition that they really thought that they were going to get them in. Everybody's a little disappointed. And this is in stark contrast to my recent pickups from Infinity Comics off of HipTomic.com. Those auctions, I have been more than satisfied with all of the books that I picked up. In only a few occasions have I been underwhelmed. But for the majority of the books, especially the older books, I have been extremely disappointed in just about every seller that I have bought from. Whether they're good sellers or maybe they're new sellers that I don't have any experience with, it's the same thing. I don't think that I'm getting the quality of book that I think I'm seeing when I'm seeing it on the channel when they're presenting it. And it's not that that wasn't shown. It is shown so quickly that you don't have a chance to go back and really examine those books. And they run these auctions so fast and people get caught up in the FOMO and overbidding. And I am seriously questioning whether or not it is time to put an end to my buying off of Whatnot, at least with vintage books that are going to be coming in lesser conditions than this perfect 9.8s. And I'll explain that as I go along, because I did put a qualifier on that. But the first books I want to do, I just want to get these out of the way. These are not off of Whatnot. They are actually off of eBay. And it goes into the whole overall topic about investing in comics. And I talked about in my last Investing in Comics episode that a lot of times you're buying just for your PC, just for fun, but that can also translate into down the road selling. And a couple of the books that I picked up 2 copies of Batman number 150, and you've got this Jose Luis Garcia Lopez Batman cover, and I got 2 copies of it there. And I've talked about this in recent videos where I've been picking up these issues that he's been doing with all the different main DC characters. And I'm taking these books to the Baltimore Comic-Con. And I'd already had this book, and I wanted to take it to the Baltimore Comic-Con to have him sign this book along with the others. And I thought I'd already had it. I know I already had it. Couldn't find it to save my life. I went through every new comic book that I had at the house currently. Not there. And it wasn't until I actually went ahead and ordered this. I ordered a couple copies just to make sure I've got at least one of them that was going to be in that very minty, fresh condition. Both of these are actually really good. And I'm going to take it to the Baltimore Comic-Con, have Jose sign this, and maybe sign the others as well. When I went to put these books with all the other Jose Luis Garcia Lopez covers and books that I have for him to sign, it turned out that I had already pulled my new comics. My new copy of this was already in the box ready to get signed. So I completely whiffed on needing to get this, but now I've got 3 copies of it. So it'll be interesting to see how much she's charging. I plan on trying to get every one of these covers signed. And it's just a PC thing. But I want these books to be really high grade. And when I talk about investing, there's the PC aspect, and it's whether you keep it in your PC now or you want it for your PC down the road. It's investing in them to be able to pass on to my daughter, to be able to resell at some point. My daughter's not going to want to hold on to these. So I'm investing for the fun of it right now, but down the road, is there going to be value in getting these things graded? There's all kinds of aspects to investing in this. But right now, these books right here are just for the PC, and I realize I'm rambling. So let's move these out of the way, and let's talk about the main topic today, which is talking about Whatnot. And I've got a couple of recent auction wins. I shouldn't say auction wins, but Whatnot wins from several different channels. And I'm happy on parts of it, and I'm not as necessarily happy on the others. And I'm realizing it is a stark contrast to what I just recently picked up from Infinity Comics off of their auctions on hipcomic.com, where I have been extremely satisfied with that. And part of that is you have the time to go into an auction early and take a look at those photos multiple times. You can take your time and really evaluate whether you want to put that risk into those books or not. You're given a grade from Infinity Comics, and then you've got the photos to work with. And I find that they undergrade their books generally, but then the photos back up that what I'm feeling. And then when I get the books in, I'm definitely happy with what I'm getting, because they're definitely better than what they're grading them at. And that's the way it should be. But I'm finding that, especially with the older books, not necessarily the new books that come out, is that they are overgrading their books. They're not spending the time. The dealer, the person on that channel, is not spending the proper amount of time. And I understand the format doesn't allow for that. They'd waste so much time if they spent 20 minutes looking over one book and going back if people wanted to see it again. It just doesn't work that way. And it plays into this nature of FOMO and people winning auctions and taking chances. And I'm questioning whether or not taking that chance on this is a bad thing. And I think it is, to be honest. I'm giving you the result right now before I even get into the books. I'm going to show you the books, and I'm going to talk about why I think that that's the case. But let's go through the first batch. I picked this up from Sleeping Giant Warehouse, and I've bought from this guy before. And in this case, these are brand new books. These are exclusive covers. And I bought these up because I know where most of these are coming from. And I know that the prices I'm picking them up for are anywhere from $5 to $10 less than what they were on the channel. And in this case, I'm not disappointed in these at all. These were bought, again, investing in comics, investing in really good exclusive covers that I want to get signed down the road. Now, whether or not I get those CGC'd, that's plays into it down the road as well, whether I get them graded and then have an investment book, I guess, at that point. But let's just get into the books and I'll show you. I picked up a virgin copy of, this is Fall of the House at X #2, which I couldn't care less about. The interior is all about this beautiful Ben Harvey cover. Ben Harvey's been doing a lot of Marvel stuff recently, and I actually had a copy of this that I took to Fan Expo back in May that I had him sign, and I didn't mind picking up another copy of this. I think this is one of the best covers he's ever done. It has that very Norman Rockwell quality to it. I think it has, because they're floating in this white background. You don't see anything. So I picked that up, and I did pick up this. This is Amazing Spider-Man 42. This is off that last run. I don't think it's off the current run. I'm not sure, to be honest. I could be wrong on that. But this right here, I'm going to butcher the name, so excuse me. It is the Ijikuri? I don't know. I can't even pronounce it. It's an exclusive version. Most of the, I believe, are from Ultimate Comics, by the way. And I really just ended up liking this artwork right here, and I jumped in for what I felt was a really good value. Again, I'm paying anywhere from $10 to $15, and these exclusive covers can run anywhere from $15 up to $30, maybe a little bit more in some cases. So I think I'm getting good value on these books, and these books are all in minty fresh condition. So I don't have any complaints in this case. This case right here, I would go to a channel and buy new comic books like this generally. Most cases you're going to have really good copies. In some cases, I'm sure you may end up with a spine tick here or not, because they're not going to go, if they're selling multiples of these, they're not going to go through every copy and show you every copy. So in this case, I don't have a problem with Whatnot, and I think I will continue with this seller with these type of books. I love these exclusive covers. I don't get into it as much as I did at one point, but because of these covers right here, I honestly, I love to be able to get these signed. Let's continue with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. This is a little bit older, but it's got this beautiful Peach Momoko cover right there. And it was a set, so I picked up the set for what the exclusive right here, both of them are exclusives, but the Virgin right here, actually, if you go to, I believe it's Unknown Comics on this, it will cost you as much for the whole, the one book will cost as much as I paid for this whole set. In fact, I didn't pay for the whole set. I didn't even pay what that cost was. I felt like I got a pretty good deal on that. I may have to save that for another Peach Momoko signing at some point. And then we get into some David Nakayama goodness. We've got this Rogue cover from X-Men number 29. That's absolutely gorgeous. And then for the Scarlet Witch number 1, I picked up this foil variant. It's a promotional foil variant for this, and that is spectacular. I've actually seen this. There's a lot of these out there, so it's not like it's super rare, but this is really nice. I actually paid a few dollars more than I saw in the next auction. Somebody got it for $4 less, so I was a little bitter. But still underpriced for what you could get from Unknown Comics. I did pick up this beautiful David Nakayama Magic cover right there. And this one right here is issue 31, I believe. And then the last David Nakayama I picked up from this Whatnot sale, all during one evening, I picked all of these up, was Avengers Annual number 10, the facsimile reprint. Here, let me move these out. And they had this beautiful cover right here. Now, this is just a regular trade dress cover. And they had the Virgin version of this. It's the same Rogue, but it's on basically a white background or something like that. But I really like the trade version of this because you can see the old Al Milgrom cover from the annual, from the original annual right there. And I love the idea of a current version of Rogue breaking through that cover. That was always the knock on this book, is that that cover is one of the worst covers of all time. And you don't have Rogue to begin with. So that's why I like this one in particular. This one is probably my favorite of all the ones I picked up. And if I get to see David Nakayama again, this one will definitely get signed down the road. Actually, all of them might get signed. I'm not sure. But he was at Heroes Con back in 2023. And hopefully he'll make a return visit there, or someday maybe to Baltimore. I don't know. I don't travel to a lot of other big cons, so those are the two that I go to the most. 2 years ago, I got some beautiful David Nakayama books signed. This will be in that next batch if I get that chance. And there I am investing in signed comics and enjoying the hobby. I'm investing in my fun and investing as potential decent price books that I can resell down the road at some point, or my daughter can when she inherits this whole vast fortune, right? So right there is a case where I don't mind going back to Whatnot for these type of books. But then we get into older books, and you've got some sellers, and honestly, I got two more here. Two different sellers. One is MacMan Comics, and I love those guys. I think they have some really good books. They do a lot of modern. They do a lot of vintage. It's all over the place, but these are good guys. I see them in Baltimore. That's where they're in the Baltimore area. I see them at every comic show. I see them do their own Whatnot shows. I know they do Whatnot shows with TBC Comics out of Crofton, Maryland. And generally, the books are really good. My point here is, are you getting caught up in overspending on some of these books? Because you do, as I said before, you've got the FOMO with so many sellers in there. And I look at these books, and the first one here, let me just show it to you. It's issue 120 of Spider-Man. And this is a sneaky valuable book if you can get those high grades. And when I say high, I'm not just talking about 9.8s on a book like this. I'm talking about, in this case, anywhere from an 8.5 to a 9.2. And I did that because I looked at the quality of this book, and I'm sitting there going, okay, on the channel, it's presented really good. They show you some of the defects. You see some of those defects. But do you really have a quick understanding of what that quality of that book really is? You see a quick snapshot. And do you have enough information at that time to be able to put in a price, a bid that you think is going to be good for this book for what you could get it graded for? So the point is, in a case like this, did I overspend on this book, overestimating what the quality of the book is? If this book grades out lower than I think it will, did I overspend? And this is the danger. Is it even worth spending that kind of money? I mean, I spent $117 on this. I may have overspent because I was trying to get the book. The book looked really good. And it is really good. Don't get me wrong. But did I overestimate how good or how bad it really is? I mean, if this book comes back as an 8.5, then I've definitely overspent for this book, because 8.5s right now have recently just been sold for $110. And I'm already under before I even do grading fees at this point, or eBay fees, or whatever other fees are in there. I'd have to get a 9.0 on a book like this to even make money. And actually, $225 on that is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. That is where I'm shooting. I hope to hell that we can get at least a 9.0 on this. But when I got the book, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm going, actually, it's really good. But there are more little color breaking spine ticks than I kind of anticipated on the channel. It looked a lot better on the channel. In stark contrast, go to an auction or even eBay for that matter. You've got the photos, you can take your time and you can look at those photos really well. I mean, might not be the best photos, but you can at least take the time to blow them up as much as possible. You can evaluate whether you think you've got more or less spine ticks and non-pressable defects than you think. You've got time to evaluate. Whatnot, you don't have that time. And I'm a little afraid that I've overspent on this book. We'll find out once I send it into CGC. And trust me, when I get that, we'll revisit this topic completely on whether or not I was right or wrong on this one. But I picked up some other books, and still the same danger, not quite the same level of danger. You're not spending as much. But I did pick up issue number 39 of Spidey Super Stories. This is the Thanos issue in the famous Thanos helicopter. And at the end, you've got Thanos being arrested by the cops. I mean, it's really, really bizarre. And of course, you saw in the Loki, the second TV series, season 2, you did see the Thanos helicopter in the wasteland. That was always pretty cool. This book right here is December 1974. I never had it, but I always heard about it. And they had it on the channel. And this is one that, honestly, I bought it more for the novelty to have it. They made it sound like it was a really good copy. Didn't say it was minty fresh or anything. But this is one that it's kind of that middle ground. I think I'm going to do okay on it. You've got to get at least a 9.0 to break even, because I spent about $68 on that. That's a little, I think I spent too much, and this is all in hindsight, and you guys are probably going to question me. It's like, well, why did you spend that much if you think you were overspending? I'm saying, Whatnot, you get caught up on it. You think you're getting something better than you really are. I'm not sure. 9.0s go for about $85. 9.2s go for $120. At that point, and with that one spine tick on there, I don't know if I'm going to get more than that. 9.4s go for about $160. If I can get that 9.2, I'll actually do really good on this. I bought this because I like these books, but I also buy these books because I like to work on them and make them better. And I do like to sell a lot of these. Some of these I like to keep in the PC. Some of them I like to sell. So investing in this comic, I think I'm going to be okay, but I think I'm going to be At worst, break even, if anything. Now, that wasn't the only Spidey book I ended up picking up. I did pick up issue number 3. And this one actually is really nice. But then we get into what I'm just talking about. They present it. I mean, a lot of sellers, they'll take the book and they will go zoom up like this, and they'll go slowly down the spine. I've noticed some of them will speed up sometimes, or they just won't mention that tick that they just overlooked. But in this case, this book is really nice. Spine looks fantastic. What it has is a very blunt, no, I shouldn't say very, but it has a slightly blunted corner right there that I don't know if they really talked about that much on the channel. I don't remember that. You got it, 9.4s to go for about $50. With that, I'm not sure if I'm going to break even on that or not. This one I only spent $19 on. So yeah, if I got a 9.4 with grading, it would come close to that break even point, maybe a little bit, a few dollars more. But this right here will be a challenge for me once I get into the shop, put my cleaning and pressing abilities to the test. Let's see if we can make this book better. This would be great to at least get a 9.4. Hopefully get that 9.6. We'll see what I can do with that corner. But again, did I overspend in this case? And again, this is where I'm heading with this. Is the answer is yes. I feel like I've been overspending on Whatnot. And I would challenge you guys to think the same way before you just jump on these channels and just start throwing the money out there. I would love to know if you guys are finding the same thing, because I'm telling you that I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the exact same issue, is that you're not getting as good of books as you think you're getting off of Whatnot generally. Now, what's good about the channel is most channels will run specials, I shouldn't say specials, giveaways. And occasionally I do win giveaways, and I did win a free copy of Spider-Man and Venom Double Trouble #2. This is an exclusive cover. I'm not sure who did the art to that. I don't think there's really any value, but hey, free is free. I like that. Let's put these down. And then I had one last book from MacMan Comics, and this is one that kind of made me think about why I'm talking about this today. Is you think you're getting a pristine, really minty book. Now, this one was presented, this is a quality book. Trust me, this is a really quality book. But even the slightest little defect in a book like this, Gambit's first cover, questionable first appearance, I think this is still the money book compared to the annual that was supposed to come out after this, but somehow came out before it. I don't think people really care, but we're still going to go with this as Gambit's first appearance, and definitely first cover appearance. Or is he on the cover? I don't know. But this is an awesome cover. This right here, minty copy, and I paid a good price for this. Did I overspend is the question. And once I got it, I'm looking at this, and there is a very, very minor spine tick that breaks color ever so slightly. And that's the kind of thing that gets missed when Whatnot presenters are showing you these books. Not to mention major color breaks, which this one's fine. This is a beautiful copy. I think at worst, this thing's going to be a 9.6. If that's the case, I'm going to come with grading fees and everything. I'm going to come close to breaking even, maybe a little bit ahead. Book like this recently just went for $230, so there's not a lot of margin. This is a book I took a chance on. Looking at it on the channel, it looked like a 9.8 candidate. I took that risk. And again, is the blame on the seller or is the blame on me? Honestly, the blame's on me. I need to not do this. I need to pull away from Whatnot and not risk this. Go to auction sites, go to your local comic book shops, go to your comic book shows, look at the books in person. Be sure of what you're buying. You can make that decision at that time. You shouldn't feel obligated, and that's not even the right word, but get caught up in FOMO. You start seeing dollar signs in front of your face. And a book like this, 9.8, even as the direct, is still a $625 book. And that risk, I decided to make that investment at that point. But then you get the book, you're disappointed that you didn't quite see that little tick on that 10 seconds that they're presenting that book on the channel. There's my beef, guys. That right there. So, still a fantastic book. I think I'll still do pretty good at this, and then who knows, I may luck out and get that 9.8. To be determined. Again, we'll show that on the channel at that point once I get this graded. But that brings us to the last two books that I picked up. And here's a case. It's completely on me, guys. I shouldn't have done it. I told myself not to be on Whatnot. And the only times I usually am on Whatnot is I go to sellers that I have had histories with, whether it's with ones that I still like MacMan Comics, that I still pick up good books from. But other times I'll get on there and I will see an auction for a seller I've never been to before. And I jump in there and they've got a great book on the channel. I was like, oh my God, I've got to have that. And I'm questioning, after I get it, I'm like, why did I just do that? I literally shouldn't have done that. And I did that with a new seller. It's called National Artifacts. And he had this book right here up. And once I got it, I realized that this book was nowhere near the condition that he described it at, even though the price was really good. It is a first printing of Dark Knight Returns #1, described on the channel, minty, 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 great, beautiful copy, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, and looked good. Once I got it, actually, I did a quick once over. The spine looked fantastic. I turned it over in the back. There's a little bit of edge, I don't want to say edge wear, but I guess it's where it's cut on the back. You can see a little bit of color break, but I've seen that being considered a printer defect more than anything. But then on closer examination, in places that normally wouldn't happen, I'm seeing color rub on different spots on the cover here. Now, the back on this color rub, it looks really good, but the front, I didn't see that when they presented that. I mean, I even kind of missed it when I took the book out of the cover the first time. When I got it, I inspected it, and I saw those defects I just mentioned, but I didn't see necessarily the color rub. When I was getting ready to do the channel here, and I was going to do basically a show and tell before I decided to turn this into talking about investing in comics, I've got a book like this, and I'm looking at it even closer now, and I'm looking at the cover, and I'm going, what the hell did you just do? Why did you spend the money on this book? This book right here with that color rub on there, I don't even know if it would get a 9.0 at this point. And I had hopes that actually I might sign this in for the new Frank Miller, Klaus Janson signing at CGC this October. And at this point, I wouldn't do it on this book at all. So don't do this, guys. Don't just jump into a channel and immediately buy a book like this. I just kind of got me. I thought it was a really good price. I would have never spent that money if I was at a show or on one of the auction sites where I could have taken a lot more time to look at the book a lot quicker. But I did end up buying one more book from him, and this book may actually do pretty good. It's in really good shape, and I didn't spend a lot of money on this one, and it goes to my last video when investing in comics. This is one of the books that I was trying to bid on from Infinity Comics that went for a lot more than I spent on this one. This one I only spent about $25 on. It is Wonder Woman. What is this? Wonder Woman number 203. It's part of that run of Wonder Woman when she wasn't super powered and she wasn't wearing the costume. She was just Diana Prince. And you've got this beautiful cover here. And this is from November of 1972. And this one I might do okay on spending that $25 because even an 8.5 went a few years ago for $150. 9.0's over $100. I mean, depends on what year you're buying. 9.2 just recently went for, it was the best offer off of $250, so I'm imagining it may have gone for about $200. This one might come out pretty good unless I've completely missed something in the grading, but again, I shouldn't have bought this. I honestly, maybe I should have just bought this and not the other one, but in a lot of cases, I like to buy a couple things from the channel, so I feel like I'm splitting up that shipping fee. But again, I kind of felt obligated at that point. I picked up The Dark Knight Returns, and then when I saw this, it's like, in fact, it was the last book of the whole auction. But I went ahead and got that because I know I had recently been looking at a bunch of Wonder Woman books, as I said, off of Infinity Comics. So I knew what the values could be on that, and this did look pretty good. But honestly, I shouldn't have been on that channel to begin with, and I shouldn't have been buying without putting in my due diligence. And that's the overall theme for today, guys, is that if you're on Whatnot, you got to trust your sellers, and you've got to put in your due diligence, and you've got to maybe have some experience with some of these sellers to see if what they're selling and what they're saying when they're presenting those books is actually accurate. How close are they to what they're saying and what the book is? I mean, if you got some trust in your sellers, this diminishes. But when you do something like this and you just buy off the cuff, that's my mistake. I try not to do that. I went months without being on Whatnot, and then I kind of jumped back in again, thinking that, okay, maybe we can find something good to invest in. And I'm questioning the latter half of today's mail haul, whether or not these books I overspent on. My gut right now tells me that I did, but we'll do follow-ups on each and every one of these that once I get them CGC'd and graded and back to the house, and we'll see what we did on them. But guys, let me know what you think about this. What are your feelings on Whatnot right now? Leave me a comment in the comment section below. And that's it, guys. I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. Thanks for joining me. Definitely be here for the next episode. And guys, remember, every comic has a story.